Hey there everyone, what's up? I am back today with another impressions video, and this one is kind of an older game. It's not incredibly old. I mean, I've been doing PSP stuff, so it's not like they have to be the newest stuff, but this was actually a game sent to me by my good friend here on YouTube, Lupacillo, who is amazing for finding stuff that I'm looking for. It's a he's a talent for it, I think, because all the stuff I've been looking for, he seems to be able to find cheap with ease, where I have no ability to find it at all. So it's, thumbs up to him. I'll link him below. He's got a good channel. He's a good guy, and I like his topics. He just brings up topics. I don't always agree with him, but he makes his points well, and that's all the best you can ask for, really. So good stuff. But the game he sent me is Disgaea 3 Absence of Detention on PSVita. And this game is actually, it's in Japan and it's easy to find, except the price never goes down. It's so expensive still. Like, it's new, it's about $45 or so still. Like, it was a launch game for the Vita, and the price just has gone down only a little bit and not much, and even the used copies are only like 100 yen less than the new copies. So I was waiting for the price to go down, and I'm thinking, man, I'm never gonna get it. But I got the US version now, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But this is not the newest one. The newest one actually is coming out. Disgaea 4 on the Vita is out this week or next week or last week. I don't really know, but that's another one. I'll be waiting for the price to go down a little bit. But Disgaea 3 here is a port of the PS3 game with some extras. So this is Disgaea in Japan, it's Disgaea 3 Returns. And what it does is it has all the DLC from the PS3 version, plus some extra added content, I believe. Because I didn't play the PS3 one, I can't really compare it all that much beyond like what I've read, what the contents are for the DLC and stuff. But you do have the main game, and the main game it's good, except it's the standard kind of Disgaea thing, except it's a little different. I've only played Disgaea 1 and 2. I never played 3 until now, and I haven't played 4 or D2 because I want to play them on a handheld. I played Disgaea 1 and 2. I actually played Disgaea 1 on the PS2, but I also played 1 and 2 on the PSP, and I preferred this series on a handheld. So I was waiting for these to come out on a handheld, and now 3 and 4 are out, so I assume D2 will also get ported to the Vita. So I'm pretty happy with waiting for these on a handheld. And they're good on a handheld. It's really good to play on a handheld because there's a lot of kind of grindy things you have to do in this game. You have to go into the item world with your items and level them up. And it's not even that long. It doesn't take that long to level up an item to like a level 10 or so. I mean, you could do it in 15 minutes. It's just, and I don't even do it for everybody. There's so many units and stuff. Like, I know some people are crazy about that. But I have like 5 units I do it for, and then everybody else just gets a standard weapon. Not that it's really necessary. I mean, once you start going into the item world and fighting and going into the story maps and then redoing them for the alternate version, you're already too high level to worry about anything. So what happens with this is, like, it turns into a kind of game where the limitations are based on what you do with it and how you do them. So the game could be really hard if you just run through the story missions and don't do any of the item world stuff and don't do any like of the classroom voting and groups and stuff like that. If you don't do any of that, I assume the game would be kind of challenging. But when you play it like I do, which is like trying to make use of all of the stuff that's in the game to use, it becomes really easy really quickly for the story. I mean, not this. I'll talk about the after the game afterwards, but when you play through normally, like going into the item world, you'll find the item worlds are much more difficult than any of the story missions after a short time. Once you get better weapons and you get the more expensive weapons and you go into the item world, the the enemies you fight in the item world are like way stronger than the final boss in the story. So, you never, you'll have plenty of times where you'll think, wow, I might die on this one if I don't like kind of cheese my way out of the stage. But, I never really felt that way in any of the story missions where it's just kind of, oh, this is just like interesting puzzle or, a kind of easy battle. And that's my own fault for being over leveled. I mean, and I even tried to take steps to do that. I kept making new characters and adding them in, but they level up so quickly when you do go to the item world that, it's hard to not be over leveled in that game unless you're making new characters all the time. And I was like reincarnating. I reincarnated a bunch of people like 2 or 3 times, and still, like, by the end, they were far too over leveled to really consider any of the bosses a challenge. Like most of the bosses I could beat in one turn. So if that's like any kind of indication of how much I was like doing the side stuff as opposed to the main story. But I think Disgaea isn't about the main story. If you play the series, you kind of understand what I mean already, but what I want to say is that when you play Disgaea, if you're just playing for the main story, you're probably not going to get even a portion of what the game is about. And I say that because like the after content of the game is like so much more than the actual story content of the game, even though it's not like usually that story intensive. Like the story's parts has lots of goofy stuff and cutscenes and things, but the after stuff has some of that, but it's not nearly as much as the actual story. So you kind of get less story stuff, but you get more of the gameplay stuff after you beat the game. So I think the story kind of acts as almost like a primer for the after game, and the after game is like the real heart of the game. And I think a lot of people don't play it as much as they should, or really don't even want to, which is like kind of a waste for the series. But I think a lot of people do understand that Disgaea is about the kind of more about the after game than the game itself, which is, maybe off-putting to some people because it seems like daunting. Like, who wants to get to level 9,999 and fight Baal or whatever? It's that kind of thing. And like, I didn't do that for this one, but I did play through a lot of the after story stuff. So once you beat the game with the main character Mao, and you get through his story, there's a bunch of other stories. So you, like, after you beat the game, there'll be characters you can talk to in the kind of, hub world where they'll give you options. So you have like a bunch of extra side stories, like here's Raspberry's story, so you can like jump into that, or you can jump into other characters like stories throughout the game. So you'll have like Almaz and forgot the girl's name. I don't know, something with an S. I forgot. Sapphire maybe, and their story. Or then there's another kind of second playthrough story of the main story. And there's other stuff like that too. I think after you beat the 3 side stories, there's 2 more extra side stories after that. And I didn't play even that much, so I didn't finish all of that. I'll probably actually go back because I'm kind of part way through one of those. So, but it doesn't change the actual system. It just, when you play the after stuff, the levels just go up for the enemies. So instead of being like up to level 100 for most enemies, they'll kind of switch from level 100 to like level 150 or so, and then you have, it goes up from there. And these levels seem ridiculous, I think, but if you play the game, you'll realize, like, if you make a new character and you have them kill like one of the enemies in the game, like weaken an enemy, and then have the lower level character kill it, you'll go up like 30 levels in after one enemy. So you'll see that like it's not really that much of a pain to level up, especially if you do it correctly. Like if you do it kind of smartly, you can level up super quick. So even like a level 100 or something from level 1 to 100, if you're playing enemies that are level 100, is really easy. So it's not that much of a kind of a time sink. Well, at least not as much of a time sink as you might think. And what do I want to talk about besides that? The characters for Disgaea 3 and the kind of world setting is like it's a school setting, and it's this kind of like a goofy play on um, a school setting. So like, there's two types of characters. Like there's the honor students who are like essentially the bad kids. They never go to class, and they do bad things essentially. But those are the honor students. Those are the best students in the demon world or whatever. And then there's the delinquents, who are kids who go to class and try to take classes and graduate and stuff. So it's just kind of like a reverse of a real school situation. But the characters are all not really interesting. I think like a lot of them come off as kind of similar to other characters in previous games, and then otherwise they're just kind of like an annoying extra character. And there was a lot of them too. Like a lot of times where you'll just be getting all these named characters towards the end of the story, where you're just like, I don't even need these guys. I have so many of my own characters that I made. And you'll find that like you kind of want to use the named characters because they have special abilities that the normal created characters can't have. And I don't know, I think the pacing of how you get characters and when you get them is not done very well. And the story is not incredibly interesting. It's not like surprising in any way. You kind of go through and you're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going already. And it kind of plays off of that kind of hero and villain swap that is going on. The same with the school. So it's similar to that. You know it's coming, and you kind of go through it for many chapters anyway, knowing that what's going to happen is going to happen. So it's actually probably, so far it's probably my least favorite Disgaea story. But not to say that the other games had a really good story or anything. So it's not like that's like a huge negative point. I didn't expect like a masterpiece of a story for Disgaea 3. I expected a quality like battle system and a kind of deep amount of, tactical playing, which is exactly what I did get. So as a game itself, it's really good. As a story and characters, they're pretty bad, but you can kind of ignore that entirely if you just like the system like I do. So overall, Disgaea 3, thumbs up. I like it. Not the best game in the series, but pretty good. And I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I got it. And, I'm looking forward to eventually playing Disgaea 4 Returns on the Vita as well. And, yeah, that's about it. So, that was quick. Just quicker than usual. Disgaea 3 on the PS Vita. That's about all I have to say. So I will see you guys next time.